Hey everybody, welcome back to Susan Lynn Psychic Medium. It's wonderful to see you again. Today we are going to talk about me. We're going to talk about how did I learn that I was psychic and a medium. I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this because I think a lot of you guys have had some of these same experiences. So here's the thing. As a young child, I could sense and see ghosts. They kept me up at night. They woke me up. They kept me up. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they wanted. It wasn't like my fairy godmother standing there, sprinkling fairy dust on me. It was a little bit more alarming to me. As a small child, I lost my mom to cancer when I was 7. So I was already a little bit unstable, I guess, in that regard. And to have these ghosts, and my mom wasn't one of them. I think that would have freaked me out. But to have them come at night, it was just really not a good thing. So now my family, we all joked about ghosts. It was like a thing, like a normal thing in our family to joke about ghosts. As a matter of fact, I blamed everything on a ghost. Like if I broke the lamp, it was the ghost. I swear to God, it didn't get me too far. It never worked for some reason. But it's interesting that my family talked about ghosts as a family. We just didn't really. The truth of the matter is my dad didn't believe it, but on my mom's side, they did believe it. So we kind of had this weird thing going on. So anyway, fast forward, I learned quickly, don't talk about ghosts. Ghosts are not, people don't believe in them. And at some point, your friends just think you're weird. So I didn't talk about any of that. I basically locked it up and pushed it into the corner of my consciousness. Fast forward, something I didn't know was happening was one of my brothers was experimenting in the upstairs, basically over my bedroom, because I was downstairs. He was experimenting with trying to call all kinds of crazy spirits, and none of them good. So that was going on too. So that probably was why I was having these kinds of ghosts come into my room at night as a child that I didn't like, that felt ominous, that felt dark to me, right? Because my dummy brother, who was much older than me, was upstairs doing crazy things. So fast forward to as an adult, I moved to a town that is very haunted. It's very known for having older buildings, historic buildings, and with that comes, ghosts. And my first house that I ever bought was an 1896 Victorian house. And it came with ghosts. And so, by that time I'm an adult. So I just say, there's a ghost in that room, but I don't talk to them. They don't talk to me. We have an agreement, you don't bother me, I'm not going to bother you. It's all good. But one time in particular, this one ghost that I called Abraham Lincoln, because he looked like Abraham Lincoln to me, just because he was wearing a tux and he had a beard and he had dark hair, very tall. I woke up one night, he was calling my dog. He was calling her. He was whispering to her to come to him. And my dog was no fool. And she was growling. I woke up to hear her growling, and I thought, oh my God, somebody's broken into the house, right? And they're outside of my bedroom. So I became awake very quick. And when I listened, I didn't hear anybody, but she kept growling and growling, and the hair was on her back and standing up. And I then realized through some other way, this was not a real person. This was a man. And he was standing in the, doors. The door was ajar. In my mind's eye, okay, I'm seeing this in my mind's eye. He hadn't actually fully become real, like some ghost can do. But he was whispering gently to get my dog to come to him, and she was having none of it. And I didn't like it either. I'm like, if my dog doesn't like you, I don't like you. That's basically how I roll. So I was kind of put off by him, and I told him to leave. Now, this ghost followed me around for a lot of years. I'm talking 10 or 12 years. He would pop in and pop out. It wasn't constant, but he did follow me all the way to another house, a good 15, 20 miles away. And again, it wasn't all the time. It was, he would pop in like once a month or once every other month or something like that. So it's interesting. That's a whole nother video, but it's interesting how some of these ghosts get attached to you and follow you. That particular ghost actually had an attachment to me from a previous life, which is a whole nother story. But I found that out when I was taking a class on psychic and mediumship before I realized what was going on up there. Many years later, and he was there. Here's my, my teacher standing there talking to us, and then here he is. And I'm like, oh man, he's here. And my teacher kind of picked up on him and said, somebody's here, but he couldn't quite see him. It was like he knew somebody was here, but he couldn't tune in. And I was like, he's with me, embarrassed, like when your parent comes and you're embarrassed. Anyway, I was like, he's with me. And I said, this is what he looks like. And as soon as I kind of gave him the right, when you have a description, sometimes it helps you zero in a little bit more on that particular person, that particular energy. For instance, when I'm doing a reading for you, I will ask for the person's name because it just helps me zero right into Sam. And then I get to skip over all those other people that came with Sam. Okay. So together, when me and this teacher both focused on him, I was able to talk to him for the first time. This whole time I've just been telling him to get away, get back, but it turns out this guy had a previous life with me, and even though he was in a tux, which I didn't quite understand, the thing that we did together was we were in war together. In a previous life, I was a guy. I was in war with him. I believe it was the Civil War. We were in the war together, and we were in a place where we both were certain we were going to die. It was just like, it's over. There's no way we're going to make it out alive. And according to him, our conversation with him, he said we made a pact that if one of us died, that the other one would wait, or we would always wait for each other, or we would always find each other. The kind of crazy thing that you do when you're going to die, I guess, I don't know. But when you do things with a lot of emotion behind them, they have a lot of energy. So this guy's been following me around since the last time I died, found me on this side as a woman, and I don't know if I think I was in the same state, in the same state anyway. And once we had this conversation with him and we talked to him and we were like, okay, well, like, see, here's the thing, like, Susan's a girl and we're not at war, and like this whole thing needs to stop. And, thank you for waiting and thank you for staying behind. But, really it's time for you to cross over. It's time for you to go get the healing and love that you need to get and be with your family and, complete your journey. And we crossed him over. So he went on his way. So anyway, that was a complete and total, squirrel. So going back to how I knew. So, before I took that class, I could see ghosts, right? And my friends started knowing that you could see ghosts. And then I got to be the person that they trotted out to every old house that had a ghost in it. And I didn't like dealing with ghosts because, I didn't know any better, and I'm very open. I'm a very open, receiving kind of person. So the ghost can just come right in, and all of a sudden I feel what they want me to feel. So I feel immense sadness, immense pain, physical or emotional. And I don't like that. I mean, nobody likes that. It feels like you're being violated or something, right? So, and I'm a very, very private person. I'm an introvert, believe it or not. So I'm like, this is way too much feely from you, so I didn't really like it. But I could go into their house and say, yes, the ghost is it stays in the laundry room, or yes, it's always in that bedroom. And I could tell them things about the ghost. I just didn't really want to deal with them. And it wasn't until I took this class that I realized, oh, you can talk to these ghosts and you can put up boundaries, and you can make sure they don't cross those boundaries, So once I learned how to do that, it was more acceptable for me, the way I felt about it, to maybe start entertaining notion. So the reason that I did it for all those years was because they could come right in. They could come right in and make me feel immense sadness or whatever. And, I don't like that. So basically I blocked it. And anybody can do that. You can just put up a block and say, I don't want to experience that. I don't want to feel that. I don't want anything to do with that. And that's what I did. Until I had a really good friend who really harassed me and just really, 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 really encouraged me and basically harassed me to do it. And so I found a local class and I took the class. And it was fascinating. It was really actually fascinating. The stuff that I learned from an intellectual standpoint about spirituality and metaphysical, there's actually a lot of scientific evidence to support what we do. And the CIA and the Army have used these things and continue to use them. Police departments use mediums. It's just not known publicly, but there's a lot of science to support what it is that we do. It's just kept in the dark. So once I took classes, and I just took some very informal classes, and then I studied with James Van Praagh for mediumship, and that's when. What happens, you guys, is that all of us have abilities. All of us have abilities. Some a little bit more in this area, some a little bit more in that area, but all of us have some kind of ability. And then if you're supposed to do this in your life, if this is supposed to be something that's supposed to be awakened, that's supposed to be something you're supposed to share with people, it will come out. There is nothing you can do to stop it. Okay? Nothing. I'm sorry. It's just true. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So for me, what happened was I was actually a professional photographer, and I would be photographing high school seniors for their senior portraits. And I would tell them things about themselves that nobody knew. Like, that they just were talking to the Navy recruiter and were getting ready to sign the papers. And they were going to talk to their parents that night. And that just would come out, oh, you're going into the Navy. And these kids, their eyes would be this big. And they would say, I didn't tell anybody that. The only person I mentioned it to was the recruiter and my coach. Do you know my coach? And I'd have to lie my way out of it because I didn't have a good answer. You know what I mean? So many times I would just say, no, you just look like the kind of person that would go into the Navy. Like, for real? But anyway, this, what I call psychic diarrhea. It just, bleh, and then there it was. It happened to me the other night with a friend I hadn't seen in a long time because of COVID. And we had dinner together outside on a patio. And I sat down, and I swear to God, you guys, I had my dinner and I put my plate on the table, and I looked at her and I said, so who are you dating now? She's been single for years. And this just came out of my mouth. And I was just like, and she knows me. When she sees that befuddled look on my face, she knows that blah just came out. And she's like, I'm not dating anybody, but who's coming into my life? So I described to her the guy they showed me. She's like, yeah, that would be somebody I would date. I said, well, hopefully you can get outside of the house and meet somebody. I mean, that's the problem right now, because it's you're not going to meet somebody in your living room unless it's the Amazon delivery person. So anyway, you will have the same things. You will hear things, you will see things, you will feel things, you will smell things, you will know things, and you won't know why. It's just, you just don't know why, but you know it, really and truly, we think of it as our intuition in many regards. It is our intuition, right? But it gets to be more and more and more and more. And as they tell me, as we go into the age of Aquarius and next year, we're all going to be waking up more and more. So in my case, what I see is around me, I picture it as kernels of popcorn. And then they start popping open, like pop, pop, pop. Like I have a friend calls me up. You're not going to believe what's happened to me and what I'm all of a sudden I'm experiencing these things. A lot of the people I read for, they say, I don't know. I'm just experiencing these crazy things that are happening to me. I'm all of a sudden I know things about my neighbor that I don't know how I know, and then it comes true, or I have a prophetic dream that came true. That's you waking up. Okay, so if you're watching me right now, that's a good indication that your guides directed you to this video and you are experiencing things you can't explain and you don't know why they're happening. But I'm here to tell you it's okay. It just means that you're waking up to your abilities. Your abilities are kind of becoming fast-tracked, if you will. Another analogy is that you and I, because I came to this late. I mean, I had it my whole life, but I didn't accept it until just recently. Then that means that we are needed right now. It's sort of like if you're on the bench in a game, you're not in the game for most of your life. And then all of a sudden they look over at you on the bench and they say, get in the game. That's what's happening to you right now. It's get in the game. You need to accept, embrace your abilities because we need you in the game. What they told me last year, maybe 2 years ago now actually, was that people were going to be waking up, and the ones of us that wake up first are to help the rest of the people understand, to not be afraid and to understand and to heal them and help them through the process. So that's why we're here right now. And then as we help others, they will then help others who will help others. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So let me see if there's anything else that I need to tell you. They want to tell you, okay, this is what they told me to do, but I didn't do it. I can't help it, y'all. I can't help it. I'm stubborn. So I went through this period 2 years ago when I had physical ascension symptoms. I am a Virgo. I'm a Virgo and a Capricorn and a Cancer. I'm a Virgo sun. I'm a Capricorn moon and a Cancer rising. So I have 2 earth signs. I have a lot of earth in my chart. I'm an earthy person. I'm a very grounded person. I'm not I'm just not spontaneous or a person who just likes to fly or any of that stuff, right? I'm the grounded one. Well, when I started experiencing these ascension symptoms, among other things, which was waking up in the middle of the night and getting crazy downloads, sometimes in other languages, that whatever, I also felt really high. And I'm also a square nerd. Like I basically just drink beer and margaritas, and that's all I do for fun. But I felt high as a kite, and I would be driving a double cab truck, and I would be driving it like I was on a roller coaster, like just taking a gentle turn. I would be like, woo, I'm on a roller coaster. So when I arrived to my friend's house, this was 2 years ago when you could do normal things like arrive to friends' houses. She took one look at me. She gave me some grounding crystal, and gave it to me and told me to take my shoes off, put me in her backyard barefoot in the grass, and then made me lay down. Basically, I needed to ground. And that really helped. I laid in the grass and then I walked in the grass until I basically walked the energy off. And now you'll see a lot of times I wear crystals. I wear crystals. This is, I think, a labradorite, which opens your third eye. But I have grounding ones. I don't see it right here, but I have different crystals that I do wear. If I feel like I'm unmoored, if I feel like I'm adrift, I will wear something grounding. And I will put in the description box some grounding crystals because I can't think of them right now. And I don't want to tell you the wrong thing because I do that. Because I don't keep information. This is just sending and receiving. There's no file cabinets up there. Nothing is stored, y'all. Nothing is stored. But luckily, I have this friend who's a crystal fanatic. So she's like, you need this. So that's really good. So some other symptoms. I mean, there's a lot of symptoms. You have ringing in your ears, one or the other. This would be receiving information in your left ear, which to you is this one. And the other one is sending information out. So ringing in your ears is one. Sometimes people want to change their diet. Many people go vegetarian or they eat less meat. So that it's not, you don't have to do it. I'm not telling you have to do it. I'm just saying sometimes your you're led to do it. You just want to do it. And you don't know why, but you just want to eat less meat, or you want to eat, like my friend doesn't eat mammals, right? So she only eats chicken and turkey and fish, right? So, you know, whatever works for you, however your body, you know, brings the energy in and handles it. Okay. It's completely individualized in my opinion. Some people have headaches, all kinds of things like that. I would have meditations. I would do meditations where I would literally vibrate, like my body would vibrate. Sometimes I woke up with big red marks on my arm. No reason that I could understand why. I knew, they told me when I had a lot of times when I would wake up, they would tell me that they did an energy upgrade on me. Basically, our circuitry in our body needed to be upgraded to be able to handle the higher frequency that we're going into. So that was something that took many, many times over the period of weeks. Every couple of days, I would have these energy upgrades when I slept. And I'm mostly upgraded now, I think, except for the most part. And, you know, look, you may have something different. You may experience something different. You may not even know you're getting energy upgrades. You might not need an energy upgrade. You might have came pre-wired to 3.0 version, whatever. I don't know. So I don't want you to take this so seriously and literally, because we're all different, okay? But that's how basically I got here. They had to trick me. My friends literally tricked me into doing mediumship readings. I didn't even know I was doing them until I walk into a room and a friend of theirs is sitting there and starts asking me questions if I can contact their dad or their daughter. One of my friends, who's still my friend, but you know, we should reconsider, I think. She has a friend who worked for the CIA as a remote viewer years ago, okay? And she booked him a reading with me, because for a while there I was just doing readings for free, because I didn't believe that, you know, I was like, I just need to do readings because I don't believe this is real. And, you know, if I do enough of them, maybe I'll be convinced. And so I do this reading with this guy, and I have no idea. I know nothing about this guy. I know his name is George, you know? And then I do this reading, and then after the reading, he basically critiques me, and he's like, yeah, you were right about this, and also this is what you meant when you said this, and this is what you meant when you said that. And I was like, wow, how do you know all that? And then he told me what he did for a living. And one of his questions was should he go back to work doing something he used to do in the past? And when I looked into it, I was like, look, y'all, here's the thing. I don't like scary movies, but I also don't like scary energy. So if somebody has really what I consider to be dark energy, or a nefarious, or, you know, bad energy, I just draw the line. I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm just not, you know? So when this guy asked me, I was like, no, I'm not. I just flat out told him, like, again, right, came out of my mouth before I could stop it. I'm not reading that. He's like, excuse me? And I said, I'm not going there. I don't want to. I'm not reading that energy. Those people are really bad, and I'm not reading that energy. And he got quiet, and he asked me a couple of questions, and I told him, I said, yes, they work for the United States, but they also work for these other countries, and that's as far as I'm going. And he was like, that was exactly who I was going to go work for. It was a third party, not the United States government, but another interested party that needed to get some things done through remote viewing. Now, remote viewing, please go watch Dr. Whimsy Anderson. Tarot by Whimsy, the Oracle of Whimsy. She is an amazing remote viewer. She even has a couple of videos on how to do it for free on her channel. She's amazing, amazing, amazing. And she does it in a heart-centered way, which is a little different than they teach you in the CIA. But But anyway, so I had this trial by fire, really and truly. I mean, it was like I just would walk in and they would like be somebody there that I had to read. And so that's kind of how I did it. Now, I'm one of those people that will stand on the edge of the pool and not jump in until somebody kicks me in the butt. Okay? So that's what I needed. I needed someone to throw me in the water or throw me off the cliff because I didn't believe I could fly. I didn't believe I could swim. So I needed that. And my friends knew I needed that. And so they just did it. They were like, I guess we'll find out if she can read or not, won't we? They're so caring, so loving, these friends. But so that's what happens. And truly, that's where we all are, right? Because here's the thing. We don't want to look like idiots. None of us want to look like idiots. When I'm doing a reading, if I say, oh, your grandfather's here and he had an ice cream truck, and you say, no, that wasn't my grandfather, So I look like an idiot, right? Remember, I'm a Virgo. We don't like looking like idiots. So first of all, you have to learn, just put yourself out there to just say what you hear. Say what you hear, right? You have to trust it. So now if I get something wrong, if I say your grandfather's here and he had an ice cream truck and you say no, I'm going to find out why they showed me that. I know I got it. I didn't make it up because whose grandfather has an ice cream truck? Anyway, you know what I mean? So I didn't make it up. So now I need to find out where this man belongs. You know what I mean? Like, is he the grandfather of this person's best friend or this person's husband, right? So I could be reading you and your husband's grandfather can come in because you and your husband are obviously a unit. So his grandfather comes in because he can. That's why I ask for names. That way I don't get Grandpa with the ice cream truck to come in when I'm really looking for Sam. So then I can find out. I can go, okay, so it's your husband's grandfather who has the ice cream truck. Okay, so you have to have the guts to say what you hear. You cannot censor it. You cannot say, I'm not going to say that. Let me tell you a great story. Y'all ready? Listen to this stuff. Okay. Look, y'all need to go get something to drink. Need a snack? It's going to be here for a minute. Okay. So here's the thing. Again, one of these early readings. Y'all are not going to believe this. Okay. And again, one of my friends set me up for this. Okay. For real. So all I know is that this woman wants a reading and her family's going to be there. Her adult kids are going to be there too. And they're going to all be together at this reading. And it's a mediumship reading. That's all I know. I don't know nothing else. I show up at their house again, back when we could do these things. And I walk in and here's these, group of, there's mom and two daughters and a husband and a brother. Okay. A mom, two daughters, a husband and a brother. The husband to one of the daughters. Okay. So that's who's there. And it looks like I'm at a funeral. They're all like sad and depressed. And I'm like, oh no, this is not good. So we walk in and we sit down at this big table and it's like the Spanish Inquisition. They're in a semicircle all facing me. I'm at the end of the table and they're all staring at me, And I'm like, holy moly. So I'm like, okay, well, what do you guys want to talk about tonight? Well, we want to, and the woman, the matriarch of the family, she says, I want to talk to my son. I said, okay, your son's crossed over. Okay, fine. So I start calling him in and I say, okay, yes, I have a young man who's, a young man, but was in his 20s and I kind of describe him and his hair color, whatnot. And they're like, yes, that does sound like him. They're very poker faced. Like, we're not going to believe this. We don't trust this. We're just going to put up with it, Again, they didn't hire me. This was one of my friends throwing me over the cliff. So then this young man who's in spirit, he says, I ask him, I'm like, will you say something so they know you're here? Say something that I can tell them so that they know that you're her son and their brothers. This Think of a nice word. This young man, you know what he says to me? Ready? He says, bulldog. I look at him. I say, excuse me? He says, bulldog. I'm like, great. Do you have anything else to say? Like something, like your name, hi mom, anything? I mean, anything at all, your favorite color, what, where'd you go to school? Something. He's like, bulldog. I'm like, that is, So I got nothing, y'all. I got nothing to say but bulldog. These people are already looking at me like I lost my mind. So I say, I just have to tell you what he's saying. And he's saying the word bulldog. Oh my God. The mom is like, that's crazy. He'd never say that. That doesn't sound like him at all. He'd never say that. And then the daughters jump in. That's not him. I don't know who you called up. Probably one of them ghosts or something. I don't know. That's not my son. Oh man. They all start jumping on me. Take notes because this happens. This happens to everybody. The guy that was married to one of the women. Okay. He's the only one that's not blood. He's the only one that's married into the family at this table. He finally speaks up. Thank God. He finally speaks up and says, y'all, that's what he called dogs. And they had dogs. They had all brought their dogs. So everybody had a dog there. There were dogs running underneath the table and, everywhere. And then none of them were bulldogs. He says, y'all, that's what he calls dogs. Any dog was a bulldog. Any dog. If it was a Chihuahua, bulldog. Dalmatian, a bulldog. I don't know. He thought it was funny. I don't know. He just thought it was funny. He thought it was funny to call dogs bulldogs. Get your bulldog. Go get your bulldog, Thank God that man was there and was not so emotionally attached to the reading that he could, click in and say, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. This man is the only man we know that would call a dog a bulldog, right? So then he helped the women calm down and recognize that, yes, indeed, that is something he would say. But talk about throwing me over the edge. Talk about you just have to go with what you hear. You just have to trust it, you guys. The reading went on. I was able to validate exactly how he died, and it was a big ordeal and brought in and actually the healing message that he gave his mom was let it go. Stop fighting. It's making you sick, mom. It's wearing you out. It's hurting you. And I want you to stop. So his message from the other side was that. So it was very validated reading, and they were grateful to have the reading, but my God, started out crazy. So you have to trust yourself. Okay. So that's my point, but telling that story is that this all starts with trust. Okay. So what do they say? Validate, trust, but verify, So in your own, journey to accepting your own psychic abilities and your own mediumship abilities and your prophetic dreams and all those things, you have to trust it. You have to trust it. You can't just dismiss it. You can't just say, well, I'm sure that I can make, we can all explain away things. That's how we got here without using our abilities, as we explained our abilities away. I'm sure that was a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't. There are no coincidences. I can tell you that right now. There are no coincidences. So trust it, right? Keep a journal. And that's what my guides told me to do that I didn't do, was they said, when I started having all these ascension symptoms, they said, keep a journal because you will need to tell others what you went through so that you can help them when they go through it. If you don't write it down, you won't remember what you went through. They're right. They're right. They were right. So I remember a lot of it, but I don't remember all of it. So write it down. If you can keep a journal, you can keep it in your phone, you can put it on paper, you can dictate it into your phone if you don't like typing or writing, but keep a journal, you know. It'll help you if you go back. It'll help you really, it'll open your eyes and it'll show you what you went through and how you really were right, you know, how you really were correct in the information that you got. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's kind of, as usual, a little helter-skelter. But thank you for joining me. If you enjoy these videos, I want you to subscribe. It's free. The people are amazing around here. We're creating our own community. We're all going to learn how to ascend into the age of Aquarius together. And to do that, we all have to be together. So hopefully you can subscribe. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. And of course, I do offer readings, and you can find that information down in the info below as well. And I just want to tell you guys, love and light, and take care. We'll talk soon.